Hello and welcome to the CRM Zen Show. This is episode 89, recorded on April 10th, 2020. Zebras or horses? From Zenatta Consulting, I'm Brett Martin.
And I'm Tyler Colt, and let's get right on into the news.
All right, let's get straight to it. So every month, Zoho releases all of kind of the updates that they've done to the finance suite. This month is no different. Usually it's comes a little earlier, but I guess we just missed them for last week's show. But we've got several of them for this week. So we've got inventory, books, and invoice. Let's start with inventory. They did some nice things around reporting tags, desk integration, documents tab. I don't know if you had a chance to look through this, but there's some inventory continues to get a lot of updates, and I noticed it's even things we noticed this week.
Yeah, there were a couple that kind of snuck into there that have rolled out pretty recently, and it's kind of interesting. Some of them don't even show up on this update. Yeah, so some of these are really cool. I really like specifically the Zoho Desk integration. It's actually something that we've set up for people in the past, especially around books. Right, we're actually able to, from books, pull in your sales orders and estimates and invoices so that you can kind of refer to those when you're doing customer service. And so this inventory is kind of doing that same thing, but with packages and shipments, which, is oftentimes one of the major touch points for customer service, right? Where's my package? Things are late. Where's my tracking number, right? All those types of really common requests that would be really, really nice to be able to just pull all that data right into Desk so you're ready to answer them.
Yeah, super clean integration. It's a big one. They've been doing a lot of different desk integrations as well. It's kind of interesting. They really have not let up on any of their development on any of these products. So it's been good to see. Okay, and then Zoho Books got some really nice updates. I think the biggest one was this vendor portal that they rolled out. They've had a customer portal for a while, but this is going to be kind of nice. It's going to allow vendors to have their own gateway and to look at their transactions, so all their purchase orders and those kind of things. And I think that's going to be really nice. And then they've kind of done something, and this, by the way, goes across several of the other updates, but we also have a completely restructured invoice detail page, as well as the ability to customize your layout and on your print reports. So two generally nice things. Then they've got some things around India and the UK. They've got a lot of basically localized type of updates for this. But for me, I think the vendor portal, this customized layout and print reports, and especially the restructuring of the invoice details, these are pretty nice updates.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that vendor portal is one that, I think that there are a couple of our clients that may want to roll that out. I mean, just vendors are such an important stakeholder for any business, right? Being able to connect a little bit better with them is of huge value.
It is. It's going to be good. And then invoice, pretty much the same as what we saw over in books. So you get that whole new invoice details page, and then the layout for print and reports. Then they kind of have one other ones. You can now create items with identical names. So you can allow duplicate item names. I guess this is good because you could have the names the same, but potentially different SKUs. Is that what they're after here, you think?
Yeah, I think so. And I would almost think that the biggest use of this would be, if you're using some of the integrations to like list these items, on an online store or something like that, maybe on different stores with different pricing, or just wanted to track them differently. Yeah, it's kind of an interesting update. I mean, most products you're going to trust the SKU to be the unique identifier anyways. So at least allowing that seems like something that's kind of no harm, no foul.
Yeah, and then they did a little change with reports. You can now compare customer sales by customers year over year, it looks like. So some interesting reporting on there. But I think the big one here is probably the whole duplicate names, and I think you're right. There's going to be some nice use cases for that across the board. All righty, and then Zoho Show got some new templates, and these are pretty nifty. They are stepping up their game yet again in Zoho Show. And if you look at these, their templates to this point in time have been basic to say the least, and they're really kind of taking it to the next level with some of these templates that they've rolled out.
Yeah, they've been on a tear with all these different Office apps, right? Whether it's Sheets or Writer and Show, with all the different content plugins they're rolling out and new templates and new functionality. It definitely seems like a big item for them that they're trying to expand on over the last couple of weeks. I feel like we have at least one or two stories each week here about the Office suite, right? And all the improvements they're making there.
Yeah, and this whole working from home thing doesn't really seem to be slowing them down at all.
No, absolutely not.
So I mean, they're just cranking along, even though they've got everybody working from home. It's pretty interesting. And now this one, I tell you what, as I go through it, I dig through these articles. This one really caught me by surprise, but Zoho Sheet has made some serious enhancements to its printing capabilities. And I mean, serious. This is stuff I would just love to see in some other spreadsheets, but this is kind of taking it to a whole new level. The ability, the customization you can have for printing spreadsheets and how they fit. And I love the article of this. We revamped print in Zoho Sheet. It's now customized for paper, which is like, because so often you print a spreadsheet out and it's pretty much useless.
Yep.
And the granularity that they are coming up with here is nice. And some of this was missing and it was basic stuff, but some of this is just kind of over and above um, what I've seen in any other spreadsheet before. So I'm really, really nice stuff. You know, headers and perfect fit to the page and adding
Mhm.
context to things. It's extremely well done.
Yeah, and even in the age of everything going to the way of apps, right? Sometimes you just want to have a big spreadsheet that's just doing tons of calculations. Maybe you're using it as an estimator tool or a pricing tool, and being able to roll all of those different values up into a super easily printable and formatable document is really nice.
Yeah, it's going to be a good improvement. And then WorkDrive. This is really interesting. So WorkDrive has now added optical character recognition and object detection across all of their documents pretty much. So JPEGs, PNGs, TIFF, BMPs, PDFs, docs, PowerPoints, you name it. 70 different languages. Basically, it is going to search. So you can do a search and it will look inside images for what you're searching for. Um, which some other technologies have this. I've seen this, in some other stuff. I mean, Google, I believe, does this very well, but we haven't really seen this in WorkDrive. And this is a super nice enhancement.
Yeah, I remember it was a couple months back they rolled out OCR and image recognition in Creator as
Yeah.
little field options there. So I wonder if they're kind of using that to generate some of the data, right? Because with any machine learning models like this, right, where it's that recognition, it just takes a big data set and lots of time to run trials to basically teach the system how to identify these things. And so I would bet you that Creator is generating them just tons of value in the data that's
Yeah.
being captured and used to train those systems.
And the other part of this is they're now doing object recognition, and they're currently supporting 50 objects. So you want to search for images or PDFs or whatever that contain laptops, it'll bring those up. So it'll bring all your documents and everything, but they actually have a list now of 50 different things, and they give you that list. And it's a random list from person to bicycle to toothbrushes to horses, dogs, cats, zebras. It's kind of across the board. Cake. Anyway, there are 50 things that they have determined that somehow are worthy of searching for objects. But they've got it, but I guess they're going to continuously add more to this. So some pretty nice additional search capabilities, I think, being added
I'd
into
be
WorkDrive.
I'd be interested to see the difference in identifying a horse and a zebra. Guess it's all going to be in
I
the
was wondering
stripes,
about
right?
that too.
I mean that for real. I mean when you look at like object recognition, right? Those are two really similar objects. So it's got to
Yeah,
be looking specifically for stripes or something like that.
it has to be. And it's got giraffes in there too. I don't know, which I guess you just look at their necks. Speaking of which, I saw some weird videos. You ever seen giraffes fight, dude?
It's brutal.
Some-
It is
That
brutal.
is some crazy stuff. I've never seen that before. It was this. This is the boredom that comes to being, confined to your home. I'm watching giraffe battle videos on YouTube. I'm reaching a low point here. All right, and Zoho does this a lot. This next story, Zoho Desk now integrates with Slack. So directly within Slack, you can use the slash commands and pull up Zoho Desk records. This is always part of their grand scheme here, which is we're going to make a little bit of give you some sort of a tie into our products if you're using it, and from there you're gonna kind of want to take it further. So it's good stuff.
Yeah, I mean, so many people are already just using Slack, which we use Cliq, which is Zoho's version, but you just have a lot of entrenched users on Slack. So it's nice to expand the integration there. But I will say
Yeah.
it's, couldn't be easier to migrate from Slack over to Cliq.
And then, we talked last week in the marketplace, there were about 40 new extensions that came out. And then this week, they published a whole bunch of articles kind of breaking them down into different groups. So if you actually go into um, the Zoho community, you can kind of look and you'll see all these breakdowns. But the one that caught my eye was there are now 7 new marketplace extensions specifically for Zoho Mail. And we didn't really talk about these last week, but it has Alexa support. So you've got you have support for Alexa, read me my mail, and it will do just that. So I think it's going to be a pretty good thing. Oh, and and there goes Alexa. Alexa, stop. So anyway, it's going to that's pretty nice. I don't know. Can Cortana be far behind, Tyler? I just don't know. It's
Yeah,
probably
couldn't be
isn't.
that far behind. I do see a couple ones that are nice on here as well. Integrating with a couple task and project management tools, being Monday and Rike. So Monday is kind of like it almost feels like a spreadsheet to use, but it's an insanely popular task management tool. It's really, really nice. Um, and now you're basically able to create line items or tasks in Monday directly out of Mail. And they kind of roll out that similar integration for Rike, which is like kind of a larger scale project management tool. That's really nice because a lot of the times you get information or requests via email that you want to be a task, right? And the
Yep.
minute that you have to go from your email over to that tool, there's a chance you're going to forget to add that task, right? So being able to just get an email, immediately snap and add it as a task into a project management tool is super, super valuable.
I agree. And I don't know if you looked at the last enhancement here, which is Google Calendar for Zoho Mail. So you can now create events in Zoho Mail, which has its own calendar, and it will automatically put them on your Google Calendar and vice versa and syncs
Well,
the two. So that's kind of interesting. I thought that existed
it
before.
did. It definitely did exist. Maybe it exists in a different way now. I know that the way that you had to do it before was that when you synced in your Google Calendar, it would kind of exist as a different calendar from the one in
Uh-huh.
Mail. So if I wanted to create an event in Zoho Mail and have it right to Google Calendar, I'd have to create it specifically under my Google Calendar event type, right? So maybe this is
Right.
kind of expanding it to include more events because at least as far as we've seen, it's just a little bit inconsistent, right? It's really easy to pick the wrong calendar and it doesn't get written to Google Calendar. And now you're double booked, right? So calendars kind
Right.
of just drive so much of what we do every day that those integrations have to be perfect, right, in order to really trust them.
And the other backdoor there truly was that you would do this synchronization in CRM. So if you're using Zoho CRM, you could synchronize your calendar in that calendar. The calendar in CRM syncs over to Mail as well. So you could kind of get it going that way.
Yep.
So anyway, interesting. The marketplace, they've gone crazy with it. It's just the expansion now with Catalyst and everything is just it's really good to see. Really good to see. And then Backstage, a little announcement here. You can now create an online event from scratch or convert an on-site event to an online one. So if you had an upcoming event that was all scheduled in Backstage, and you had tickets and badges and all of those kind of things, and it was all set, and you had the agenda, and you basically aren't going to do it live anymore. You're going to do it as, or you're not going to do it as an in-person event. You're going to do it as an online event. You can convert that event now. So, most of the time, if you're using Backstage, you're also using Showtime. You've got all these things linked together. So this is kind of allow you to make that switch, which is pretty important in this day and age, because so many events are actually being canceled and moving to online. So this is just an effort on Zoho's part to ease that pain from having a physical event to an online event.
Yeah, and I think that this is something it'll be interesting to see, and we've talked about this a little bit off the show. What types of structural changes we'll see, on the other side of this pandemic, right? So I'd imagine more and more events and conferences and training events were going to be held online, right? Because there's going to be, in my thinking at least, kind of a change in habit there. So being able to roll this out kind of to help people now and set them up to be able to do that in the future is really nice from Zoho.
Yep, good stuff. All righty, and then rounding out the news here, this is cool, man. Zoho Recruit now supports multiple call pops. I hope this comes to CRM. So right now, basically, if you've got a call, it's not going to pop. You get another call, you've only got the one call pop, you've got the call you're dealing with, but this is stacking your call pops. So you can see, hey, you've got a call on hold, you've got a call on hold, you've got these people here, and you kind of go back and forth. Pretty nice. And as I'm looking at this, do you see they've got, if you're looking at this visually, if you're watching us on YouTube, they've got a recruit button and a CRM button. So I don't know how to turn this. I'm going to have to go into PhoneBridge. We're going to have to play with this because this is really, really cool. And you can do this. We're using Twilio now for for all of our VoIP and our SMS, and you have that ability to say, great, let me, let people go into queue on Twilio. So you can just queue up people, and they can be in the queue, and they're just on hold music and say, please wait. Everybody's busy right now, and he'll be with you in a minute. And if this works, this is fantastic. So I'm really looking forward to taking a look at this and
Yeah, it
seeing if
looks like
this
I see that.
works.
Yeah, I see that you actually asked a question on this post there in the Zoho
I
community, and it
did.
looks like a Zoho employee saying that it is in the CRM, but I've never seen it. So maybe they quietly released it, recently,
Ah,
because he's saying it's
there you go.
there, but I've not seen that
My question
functionality.
answered. That's
What I would be
fantastic.
curious
Yes.
to think about though is if it's going to function differently for different voice over IP providers, because know that each of their integrations always has its own kind of, you know, pros and
Yep.
cons, right? So I'd be curious to see if this is something that they're reliant on the voice over IP solution to do, or if this is totally run through Zoho and it doesn't matter what you're using.
I think it is going to be dependent. Be curious to look at here. They also, I don't know if you say it, they're going to roll out for desk very soon as well.
Mm-hmm.
So
Well,
that's going
and
to
this
be
is
interesting.
the whole kind of phone bridge solution is one that is just so desperately needed, right? I mean, we run into clients all the time who they want to roll out voice over IP, but they've got users who are in CRM and Desk, right? And there's other apps
Yep.
too, but those are the ones that we see the most often. And one of the challenges is you do all of your voice over IP integrations specifically to each app. And with a lot of the different solutions, depending on how you connect them to the app, many of them you can't get to ring in both places at the same time using one phone number. Now, a couple solutions do like Ring Central, but for some of the more custom ones like Twilio or Amazon Connect, it can be kind of a bear to set that up. So seeing PhoneBridge kind of get more and more functionality as that all-in-one phone solution is really, really cool and highly needed, I think, for a lot of people.
Yeah, and there are just some minor tweaks to the phone bridge that if they would make it, if they would do those things, would just take it completely over the top. For example, the ability to answer calls only exists on some, not the other. So, you sometimes you have to have a soft phone. There are all sorts of little things, basic dialer, but man, it's really, really close and getting better. And we're we're kind of living in it right now. We've got a few workarounds to make it work, but we'll kind of, as we've gone more and more into the Twilio route and kind of dived into making that work because of some things that have come out that we're going to talk about later in the show, I'm finding that the power of PhoneBridge is really starting to shine.
Yep.
All right, so Zoho donated $3.25 million to the fight against COVID-19. This is to support the effort. I believe it's the Prime Minister of India's effort, his COVID-19 effort. So they've, most of their employees, they've got 8,000 employees, over 8,000 worldwide. I want to say the bulk, 6,000 of them are actually in India. A big chunk of those are in Chennai as well. And not only are they doing that, but they've closed their offices over in Chennai. But with all those employees there, they have a really, really, really large kitchen. And so what Zoho has done is they're actually opening up their kitchen and they're going to start feeding people. They can distribute 1,000 meals a day in Chennai. And Sridhar has basically said that they're going to be extending it to 5,000 meals a day across Chennai, Tenkasi, and Renigunta. I think I got those three cities right. And really going to roll this out. So basically, they feed their employees who are at corporate. Those employees aren't at corporate anymore, but they've got the ability to feed people, and they're going to do so. And man, good, nice effort, just fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, they're really, I think, trying to set the example, right, with the, small business assistance that they've been doing and now donating money. I mean, when he initially announced that, subscription relief fund, he said it was just one of many things that they're going to do. And they're definitely following up. I mean, it's really cool to see them kind of get into this mode of just being so supportive of their customers and the environment in which they work and live.
Yeah, great stuff. Really, really good stuff. All right, let us move on to the implementation of the week. What have you got for us this week, Tyler?
Yeah, so this was a cool one coming out of the world of books and inventory. So books and inventory are kind of notoriously difficult to automate in because they fix you onto a pretty set path, right? So for example, in order to properly create a package, you need to have a sales order, right? And there's really not a way to get around that cleanly and get the same tracking that you need for you to be able to then connect a package to an invoice, right? It like has to run through that sales order. But the problem is that a lot of people, what they really want to do is send an estimate, and on approval of that estimate, get a package out and get an invoice out. And they don't really care about that sales order, right? They don't need to send it out to someone because they've already seen an estimate and accepted that, right? And so what we did here for one of our clients was basically write an automation that creates the sales order for them kind of in the background, and then also creates that package and invoice and gets the process going on those kind of without having to think about that sales order. So basically the way that the flow runs is, the customer is going to send out an estimate like you normally would. The customer is going to go ahead and accept that estimate. On the acceptance of that estimate, we go ahead and convert that estimate into a sales order, right? And then on creation of a sales order, we actually spin up a package with all those same line items and a package that's connected to that same customer on file for the sales order. And then we do the same for the invoice, right? So we create an invoice with all those same line items and pricing and basically prime it to be sent out to a customer. And the nice thing is that you definitely have a lot of different hands working inside of books and inventory, right? So your fulfillment team really only cares about packages, and your AR team really only cares about invoices. So by kind of skipping past that sales order, you make it so that the proper teams get the records that they need, being those packages and invoices, without any extra work for the salesperson, right? So once that estimate's approved, they don't have to go in, create a sales order, create an invoice, create a package, right, and do all of that manual labor, right? Just on the creation of a sales order, we already know we have that accepted estimate, so we're ready to ship and we're ready to invoice. And so I think this is one that could be used for a lot of different purposes, because as we talk about a lot, Brett, those sales orders in books and inventory, they really just serve as the link between a package and an invoice, and really
That's
not
it.
much else.
Yep. Yeah, and it's problematic in a way. I mean, because a lot of people really don't need the sales order, but you have to have it, right? You have to have it to create the packing slips and to do this kind of things. But I think as you mentioned, it also decrements from inventory when you've got the sales order. So you kind of can't
Yes,
start there. So,
that's a good point. So the workaround that a lot of people will use is they say, look, there's too much manual labor here, so let's not use estimates and just
right,
send people sales orders. We'll get an email confirmation, right? Because with estimates, they actually give you like a digital PDF they can accept, right, via
right,
email. The sales order, you don't have that. But a lot of people get so frustrated with the kind of clunkiness of this that they just say, you know what, I'm gonna use sales orders. But the problem is
right,
every time you send a sales order, whether or not it's accepted, right, as far as your team is concerned, it's adding to your committed stock, right, for
right.
inventory's sake. And so you really do need to use estimates in order to keep your inventory count right, but then you don't really need the sales orders for anything else. So it's kind of just a way to kind of skip over that and get the right records to the right people as quickly as possible.
Yep, and you're going to kind of have a video that takes through this entire process. We're going to post that up on our YouTube channel this week. So this is it's a great implementation. It's just so cool how much they're extending flow and the power of flow, because like you said, man, you couldn't do this a couple months ago, right? It's
Yeah,
just
no, you really couldn't, because they basically added the trick with inventory that makes it so difficult to work with in Flow is that you have line items, right? So it's always been easy to say, okay, from this sales order, create me an invoice with the same amount if you can get like an override through, but mapping those line items is just, it's kind of a
right.
nightmare. But what they've done now is basically added a tool into Zoho Flow to do that for you, right? And it's super, super powerful. It kind of snuck in. I didn't see it in any product announcements, but I know it was not there any more than like 3 to 6 months back. So they've been kind of quietly working away in there, but it's huge for the types of automations that you'd like to see, right, in books and inventory.
Yeah, this could have been a double. This could have been a things we noticed and an implementation of the week.
Very true.
All wrapped into one. All right, so let's move on to things we noticed, shall we? And both of these are you, and both of these have been looking as if you've been kind of diving into inventory and doing a bunch more with it. So you were really impressed by these two things, and we can find nothing on these anywhere. So it's so there's no links here, but a couple things to look out for in Zoho inventory.
Yeah, so I got a little pop on inventory the other day, actually in a client's account when I was working in there, that was kind of announcing the fulfillment by Amazon integration. And basically when I went to that little page, which we've not been able to pull back up, right? It seems like it does not exist on their blogs or really anywhere that we can find. But it kind of walked you through a process where it plugs in on top of the existing Amazon integration that's already been there. So there's already one where you can say this item, go ahead and make this listing on Amazon with these parameters, right? And when I sell it there, make me a sales order over here. But the reality is most people that use Amazon to sell are using fulfillment by Amazon to ship orders out. And basically the way fulfillment by Amazon works is if I'm selling widgets on Amazon, I ship 100 widgets to a warehouse owned by Amazon, and as they sell, Amazon ships them for me. And the advantage is it's much cheaper than shipping by yourself, right? So shipping something out of Amazon, fulfillment by Amazon is like $3 to $4. Just buying like the cheapest packing slip you can get from USPS is about $7. So you save a ton of money using FBA. But there was never really a direct tie-in to Zoho inventory. So now what you can do is basically define an item as fulfilled by Amazon and say, okay, I'm shipping 50 of these to the warehouse today. And as they sell, it basically deprecates your inventory in Amazon's warehouse for you and tracks your sales. So then you could get notified, okay, I've got 10 left, so I need to ship another 50 or another 100 into Amazon to keep their warehouse stocked.
Just a great integration, just really great.
Oh, it's
So
awesome. It's
so
awesome. We've
nice.
not set it up yet, but
No.
and kind of continuing on, I mean, they've just been churning away on e-commerce. right? Inventory's got great Shopify integrations, right? They've got great shopping cart integrations. Now they've got Amazon, fulfillment by Amazon, and now this last one that we've noticed, which is in beta, which is Google Shopping, right? And so this one is similar to the old Amazon integration where you can take any of your items and just post them out there for sale directly onto Google Shopping. And though tons and tons of people use Amazon, right, that's obviously kind of A1 in the e-commerce market. Google Shopping is not to be ignored. I mean,
No, it's not.
getting your products to show up top of page in a Google search is definitely significant. And making it easy to just post them out there is it's kind of a no-brainer.
Good stuff. All right, so let's move on to this week's reads. So HubSpot has a new collection that they've put together on everything you need to know about remote work. And it's currently 19 articles. It might be growing. But if you click on the link that we've got in our show notes, basically they have just got this section where remote work for beginners, and it's 8 posts. And what they're doing is they're just collecting all the stuff they've been writing over the years on how to work remotely and what you should do to work remotely and how to telecommute. And, you know, HubSpot writes some really, really, really good stuff. Most of their articles, they pay their bloggers and their writers very well. They're well researched, they're well thought out, they're well documented. And so they've got, a section, eight posts on beginning working remotely. And then they've got 6 posts for the intermediate. So if you want to kind of step through it, and then another 5 posts on advanced remote working. And they're all pretty good. And also on top of all this, they have their remote work report, which is kind of interesting. This was a 2019 report they did on remote working, where they interviewed, 1,200 plus people, a bunch of different industries, and they just kind of got all their thoughts on working remotely, what works for them, what they do if they get depressed, how many breaks they take during a day. It's kind of an interesting read, and I recommend it if you want to take a look at it. But some really good stuff and a really great resource out there for people working remotely who've never done it before. Sometimes, Tyler, I think we take it for granted because we spend our entire life working remotely.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of just part of our DNA as a company, but it definitely can cause some hitches to have to switch everyone over, especially on short term, right? If this is going to be a 6-month change initiative to move, 50% of your employees remote, that's one thing. But this is kind of served as like a 2-week sprint to get every person possible working from home 100% of the time, right? So it's a really, really difficult change to make. And yeah, HubSpot's got just a ton of great information on that page. I mean, you could spend a couple hours getting through all those different articles and reports that they've got.
Yeah, great stuff. Nice job, HubSpot to put all that together. So well worth taking a look at. All righty, and then over at Zenatta, as we go on our Content Palooza 2020, baby, we are really, really stepping it up. So we've got our blog of the week is on building custom CRM links, and then we also have got a whole bunch of YouTube videos. So last week's CRM Zen Show is up on YouTube. This one will be up shortly. Sending out text messages in Zoho campaigns with Twilio is on there, and we're going to kind of double down on that this week as well. We talk about our application of the week, which was Loom, so we've got a video on that. So if you haven't seen this, and then auto assignment of desk tickets based on CRM owners using Zoho Flow. That was our implementation of the week last week. And so every time we do one of these shows, we basically have a whole bunch of videos that come out covering all the stuff we talked on there. So, and then we also are continuing to build out our resource library and our resource guides. So these are PDFs, articles, all kinds of things that we didn't write, but that we find they're kind of open source, usually from Zoho or some other people that have posted these out there, and we just kind of make them available. So, we'll have an entire section on Zoho campaigns over on the resource side, and you can click in there and just kind of go through all of the different articles. And so we've got this week, how to choose the best email marketing product, increase sales with Zoho Sales IQ, surveys with Zoho campaigns, build your own app in Zoho Creator, beginner's guide, and then learn the basics of Zoho Creator. So all kinds of stuff. And these guides, the Zoho, like for example, if you're watching the this on YouTube, if you click in, these are some pretty nice guides that you're able to go through on building your own app in Zoho Creator. And I think we've laid these out really, really nice on a flipboard, and everything you need to know to just kind of step by step by step, how to lay it out, how you think about an app, how you kind of sketch out an app before you do it. Zoho's really spent a lot of time into some of this documentation, and I think it gets buried. And so, by putting this online, we hope you find it useful, and take a look at it. We think there's some great stuff there.
And I think the cool thing about some of those creator beginners guides is even if you don't want to build something in Creator, maybe you're someone who lives, primarily in the CRM. A lot of the things that you could learn from that guide apply to the CRM as well, right? Different types of fields, right? What's a one-to-one relationship versus a one-to-many, right? They cover a lot of things that inform just the structure of a database, right? Whether it's a CRM or a creator app. And so I think it's really worth the time to kind of flip through. There's lots of cool images. It's not a very heavy read, to be honest with you, but there's a ton of useful information that you can pick up by cruising through that document.
Really good stuff. Really good stuff. So anyway, we're adding to that every week. We're just adding more and more to it. So, 5 new articles this week, or 5 new pieces of content in there this week, and hopefully find it useful. All righty. I think we're both pretty excited about this one, Tyler. This was our application of the week. We mentioned it last week as it was new and it had appeared in the Zoho Marketplace. And then we tried it out this week, and it has now, it's the SMS messaging tool I think we're going to recommend to all of our clients going forward. It's a Twilio SMS extension for Zoho CRM. It's by Jeremy Nagel, who does Deluge on a Luge. He's a super great Zoho developer down in Australia, and he's teamed up with another Zoho development group, and they basically spent a year to crack the code, Tyler, on building the perfect SMS extension for Zoho CRM. And I think they've done it.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a fantastic tool. It seems like every little box that you'd like it to check, right, it checks. So it's creating records so you can automate things. It's got a beautiful UI. It's easy to plug into Twilio. I mean, you're going to walk through some images about kind of some of these things that I'm talking about here, but it's just absolutely great.
So both sides of the conversation displayed in the CRM. There's holy grail stuff number one right there, right? I mean, this is, you click on a record, you're looking at a contact, and you're like, okay, this is great. And normally you've only had one side of that conversation at best. But this displays it just kind of like you're looking at it on the phone. You got what you write on the right-hand side, what they write on the left-hand side. It all comes in, it's all logs. So when you're in the contact record, it's just a related list down on the side. You can go see, all of the various conversations you've had with the person. They also have a SMS messages section, which is every single text. So every single individual text, probably something I would hide in the related list, but pretty cool. Email text templates. So you have this ability to basically go ahead and send out a templated email, and you can actually put merge fields in. And how clever of them, they're using the standard Zoho CRM merge implementation, which is just hit the pound sign and it brings up all your merge fields and you can put them all in. So really, again, just super, super nice on building out these templates. So if you've got the same thing you want to do all the time, you want to just hit someone up, hey, I still need your password or whatever it might be, you can put that out there. Then you've got send bulk. So again, using the templates, you can select multiple people and send a bulk SMS out. And again, both sides of the conversation will be written inside of their CRM record as well. And then to top it all off, wow, oh my, what an excellent user guide. It is just so well done, step by step, installation, important things to know, all the way on through. It's fantastic. So it's $15 a month, and that is access for every single user in your CRM. And oh, by the way, if you're using Twilio as your telephony integration, it's both sides of that. So that means that whatever number people are calling you on that are popping into, that is also the exact same number that you'll be receiving text from. So no one's going to be confused that they're getting a text from some completely different number, and it's individual for everybody in the organization. You got 50 people, they all have their own Twilio number, which is $1 a month for Twilio numbers, very inexpensive. And you're using that for your inbound and your outbound. That's also going to be your inbound and outbound for your text. And it's only $150 a year for the entire organization if you want to pay it annually. But I can't really say enough about it, Tyler. It's just amazing.
Yeah, I mean, oftentimes when we see an extension that could be really cool in the marketplace, we'll start to play around with it, but you're kind of waiting for the shoe to drop, like where's going to be that point where we try to do something with it and it's like, oh, we can't do that, right? And it kind of kills the motivation to use that extension. But this one, they really completed the loop, right? It's got everything that you would want out of a texting app. And then kind of to top it off, right, they create an awesome little user guide so that people can set it up for themselves. I mean, it's just great work.
It is. It is. Hats off to Jeremy and his team over there. He also, if you want to train your staff on some basic Zoho, he's got a course over on Udemy, udemy.com, called, it's the Zoho CRM and Creator Masterclass. You can usually find that for less than $15. It'll take your people about a week or two to get through, but it's kind of something, we like to test a lot of people with and put them through that basic course, but it's a fantastic course also, written by this gentleman. So he's just done some great work for the Zoho community, and I'm really, really happy that they took their year and they took their time and they created an amazing app. So much so here for our tip of the week, we're also going to step you through how to set this up, because it's so simple and easy to set this thing up. But we want to kind of take you through that. But we've also got a bonus tip of the week, which is this came from Zoho, and it's been around a long time, but I'm really glad they put this out. And this is how to update your CRM records using responses from Zoho Forms. And so one of the things, if you're actually going to decide you're going to start sending SMS messages to people, you need to have their mobile number. So maybe you don't have their mobile number, but you'd like to maybe update all of the contact information you've got on somebody. This tip will step you through step by step by step how to create a form, link it with your contacts, send it out as an email. So when they click on it, it's going to pre-fill all of their information. They can update it, then write it back to the CRM. And, Tyler, we've used this in the past, but it's kind of nice to see this all laid out like this.
Yeah, nice little step by step, lots of images there. If you're watching on video, you're seeing it here. We've got a link, of course, in the show notes. But yeah, it's real easy to do. You're just using this little update record integration, which will basically say, okay, so if they're gonna give us their email in this form, let's go ahead and find the contact with that email and update the information there. So it's real easy to set up and a really nice tool to kind of extend the functionality of your CRM.
It's good stuff. And again, it's also not a bad idea to do this just occasionally, to send it out. Hey, just wanted to make sure I've got all the latest and greatest information from you, and make sure you've got that up to date. And this is kind of a nice way of doing that. So simple guide, it's only 3 steps. Couldn't be easier to set that up. So highly recommend you do that. All right, so let us talk about how you would actually set up the Twilio SMS extension we talked about. Few simple steps here. You're just basically going to go into your settings, and once you're in settings, you're going to go to that Zoho Marketplace. Now, in a lot of cases, Zoho Marketplace is now one of your main module tabs up at the top, so you can also just click into it there as well. And then just start searching for Twilio, and the first thing that's going to pop up is this Twilio SMS extension for Zoho CRM. Just go ahead, click on there. You click the install button, and then you're going to have to go through a whole bunch of yes, I agree, yes, I agree. You continue to install. You want to agree again, because Zoho really wants to make sure you agree to their terms and conditions. I recommend you install this for all users as well. You're going to be asked about that, so you're going to want to go ahead and install it for all users. And once you do that, you're going to choose. Now, on this extension, it's going to try to get you out of the gate to pay $150 annually. But you can click on the monthly button, and that's going to be $15 a month if you want to pay monthly. But also down at the bottom, it's going to say 10-day free trial. So you can try it out for 10 days free. And as soon as you click on that, it's just going to immediately start the install. You don't even have to click the install button. And all you're going to have to do then, it's very quickly, is put your Twilio tokens in. So if you don't know how to do this, as soon as you go open a Twilio account, and by the way, super cheap, you can go open a Twilio account, give them $20 on file. It's $1 for the number. You're paying, what is it, about half a cent a minute, Tyler, half a cent a
Not
text,
very
something like
much.
that.
Yeah.
Very,
It's
very,
even
very
less for a
little.
text. Yeah, it's not very much.
Yeah, it's hardly anything. You can set up an account in just a matter of minutes, and you'll get your Twilio authentication token, and you're going to have your SSID, and then you're going to put in your default prefix, which is going to be +1 in the U.S. If you're in the U.S., +44 if you're down in Mexico. Wherever your country code is, you're going to put that in. And once you've got that, it's going to add 3 new modules. It's going to have one called SMS templates. This is where you can build out your templates if you want. It's going to have one called SMS messages, is where all of your messages are going to go from everybody. And then it's got an inbound fetcher, which you'll never ever touch. And this is basically just going to go out, and every 5 minutes, it's going to fetch all those inbound messages and write them to your CRM records. You can force that, by the way. You can force it to do it, but every 5 minutes, this inbound fetcher is going to go out and ping and bring all those inbound messages, those replies back in for you. So it's going to create those 3 modules. Really, really simple and straightforward. Easy to create the templates. I mean, there's nothing to it. And then what you're going to end up with is anytime you're going to contact or a lead, over on your related lists over on the side, you're going to have 2 new lists, one called SMS messages, which I think you can hide. You really don't need it. And one called Twilio SMS. And this is going to be the entire history of your entire conversation that you've ever had. And so, wow, again, super, super simple. You can also do bulk SMS, just select a bunch of people, and then that's going to add a new button up to the top of your related lists or your record lists. So you can just send bulk SMS, choose your template, go ahead and send it out. You can also, it supports, like we talked about earlier, it supports the ability to add in merge fields. So you can add in first name, last name, account name, all that kind of information in. So you can really kind of personalize these non-personal SMS messages, if you will. And just great, straightforward. Couple of things that are gotchas that we do want to point out that you need to know with this application is all of your phone numbers, whether it's going to be phone or mobile, whatever you're going to use, it has to have a +1 in front of it. If it does not have a +1 in front of it, you can send it, but you can't, the received won't actually properly log. So because Twilio requires this +1, it's more of a Twilio thing, you're going to need to put +1 in front of all of your phone numbers. And Tyler, I know we're writing a script for that. We may want to publish it, because if someone wants to do this, if you have to go through thousands of contacts and add a +1 in front of, or add the country code in front of all of them, it's going to be painful. But I know we're going to write one at least that does the +1, not the other country codes, but we might want to look into publishing that out there as well.
Yeah, I'd expect a video coming out on that in the short-term future here. Once we kind of dial it in and set up the schedule to have it run regularly, that'll definitely be something that we'll be putting out there.
Yeah, and it's that's going to be worthwhile as well. And maybe we can make it even trickier. We'll see. Also, you have to have a Twilio account number with a phone that's capable of sending SMS messages. So some Twilio numbers aren't SMS capable. So make sure you get an SMS and you enabled SMS on Twilio. And then it checks your messages every 5 minutes, but you can force a refresh. Those are kind of the key things, little gotchas that trip people up. The big one's the +1. But once you get that, you're good to go. So that is our tip of the week, our app of the week. We love it. We spent a lot of time talking about it, but I think we're pretty excited about it, and I'm happy we found it, Tyler.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a total game changer for texting, right? And in so many different ways that just seems like other solutions were missing just a couple of those key things that have some implications for like reporting and automation. And overall, just that UI, just having it look basically like iMessage on your iPhone is going to make it a lot easier for sales reps to use.
All right, everybody, and that's a wrap. If you have any questions, you can contact us at info@zenatta.com, or just head over to zenatta.com and drop us a line.
And on the website is where you'll find complete episodes as well as show notes with links to the stories we discussed today. Of course, you can always follow us on your favorite social media platform and subscribe to us on your favorite podcast app as well as on YouTube. We'll see you next Monday.